Hi guys, my name is Ackaah-Gyasi, and today I'm going to show you or teach you how to use Rhino 3D in creating basic 3D objects. So let's start. If you have the software, what you have to do is just double click to open the software. I already have mine open, so I'll just go ahead and open it. Okay, so before we start, we have you can see the viewpoints on the screen. You have the top view, you have the perspective view, you have the front view, you have the right view. We'll be working in these views a lot, so just keep notes. Um, Before we start, you also need to set um, your view or your camera page in order to work in the viewpoint. So what I have to do is to just go to the file, um, click on new, or you can just use the shortcut keys, which is Control N. So I'm just gonna click on new. I had something already open, so I'll not save it. I'll just open it because I want to teach you how to use um, this viewpoint. Okay, so because I'm going to create small objects, I'll just select small objects using inches. So I'll just select this one, then click on open. So I have a new page right now. So let's just start by creating a 3D object using um, the circle tool. Okay, so at the left side of the screen, you see that we have a couple of tools here, but for now, I'm just going to teach you how to use the circle tool in creating a 3D object. So let's just I just click on the circle tool. When I click on the circle tool, what you see is that the cursor, as I move the cursor, you can see a dot in between the cursor, um, which is trying to tell me that I should select where I want the um, center of the circle to be, so that it can give me the ability in order for me to create the circle. So what I need to do is just type in 0, but before I type in the 0, you need to look up here. That is where the command line is. You always need to be looking up here. It will be telling you what to do and what not to do and all that. If you make a mistake, it will show up here in this command line. So here it's telling me that there's something showing here, center of circle, so as I said, the point you see in between the cursor is trying to tell me that I should create the center of the circle. Okay, so I just go by typing in 0 and press enter. You can either press enter on the keyboard or right click on the mouse in order to enter. Okay, so I'm just going to right click on the mouse and create the circle. So immediately I right click on the mouse and I move the cursor, you'll see that the circle is being drawn. So until I click again and release my hand from the mouse, the and release my release my hand from the mouse, what it's going to do is as I move the cursor in and out, the circle will also be moving alongside with the cursor. Okay, so since we are working in the top view right now, I'm just going to double click on the top view in order for me to have a full screen to work on the top view very well. If I want to go back, I can still double click on the top view and it will take me back. Okay, so I'll just double click again and go in the top view. Okay, so right now when I click on when I right click again, I can just open my circle to my desired radius, and I can just right click and release my hand from the mouse, then my circle will be drawn. Okay, right now we have the circle being drawn. Okay, so as I highlight the circle, as I click on the circle, you see that we have these red and green arrows showing over here. Um, this this tool is called the gumball. Okay, so if you open your Rhino 3D software and your gumball is not activated, what you have to do is to come um, below the screen. So when I come below the screen, what's I'll be seeing a couple of tools over here. We have the grid snap, we have the auto, we have the planner, we have the O snap, we have the smart track, we have the gumball, we have record history. So I just go ahead by just clicking on the gumball. Right now mine is already activated, so when I click on the gumball, it will disappear. You see that the arrow showing the red and green arrows are all gone. So when I click it back, you see the gumball will just appear on the screen. Okay, so right now we have our circle drawn. We now have to create a 3D object for this circle. So what I'm going to do is to double click on the top view and go back to the other viewpoint, and looking at the left side of the screen, we have the surface from 3 or 4 corner points, and looking at the side of this tool, we have a small arrow over here that shows that we have other tools um, in that particular tool. So when I click, you see that we have other tools over here. We're going to be using all these tools a lot as time goes on. I'll be showing you how to use all these tools. So right now we are going to use the extrude straight to create our 3D model. Okay, this is something basic. So immediately I click on it, you see that at um, the software will create a 3D model in a wireframe for me. So let's just check it out. So I'm just going to click. Okay, so you can see that when I move the cursor, I have these wireframes moving over here. That shows that my circle is right now in a 3D form, and is right now showing the wireframe. Okay, but before you create it to see it in a shaded form, what I'm going to do is that we need to go up here and look at the command line. Okay, I told you you'll be looking at the command line a lot. It is showing me what to do. Okay, so it's actually telling me if I want to create the 3D object using both sides, or if I want the 3D object having an open hole within it or not. So if I choose no, it means if I choose solid equals to no, it means that I'm creating a 3D object with a hole inside it. Okay, but when I click on it and say yes, it's actually going to close the inner side of the 3D object. Okay, and when I click on both sides, it means that it's going to create a 3D object from the view from the center of the circle to the end of the circle. So when I click on it, you see it's showing from both sides. Okay, when I click it back to no, it's just going to create it from one side. Okay, so this is just how it is. So right now we're actually going to use it from just one side. Okay, so let's create our 3D model. I'll just double click here on the perspective view in order to see my model very well. Okay, so I can just right click and hold the mouse and be moving the cursor around to see what is around my 3D objects. Okay, so we still have our 3D object being selected here until I press on the enter button, or until I right click on the screen or on the page to release the mouse from the 3D object. Anytime I move my mouse or my cursor, you will see that the 3D object also moves along with it. Okay, so let's say this is how I want my 3D object to look like. So I'm just going to right click on the screen to create my 3D objects. Okay, it went a bit higher. Okay, so I'll just reduce it to size. I just reduce it to size in order for you to see. So as I told you earlier on, the gumball has these dots alongside the arrows, okay, that you can either use in reducing the size of the 3D objects. So what I'm going to use is to hold on these dots right here, okay, and I'll just hold, or left click and hold and reduce. This time around I'm not going to press on the shift key. Okay, so um, I'll just reduce my 3D object to the size that I want. You can be working in inches and all that, but for now I'm just teaching you how to create your 3D objects. Okay. Mhm. So right now we have the 3D objects. You can't see it well because we are in the wireframe. So what I'm going to do right now is to um, go to the shaded form for you to see. So there's a shortcut to that. What I can do is to either come to perspective right here. You can see where the cursor is. Right click and go to shaded. When I click on shaded, you see that everything changed. It changed from the wireframe to a shaded 3D object. Okay, or I can either come here, the right side of the screen, and click on this icon showing display. Okay, when I click on it, you see that we have the active viewpoint. That's because we are working in perspective. Okay, and we have the display mode, and the display mode is in shaded. Okay, so that's another way of you changing it from the wireframe to a shaded form. So you can change it here by by clicking, using the left click of the mouse and clicking on this arrow here and just selecting shaded. Okay, so immediately you click it, the 3D object will change to shaded. The same way, when I want it to go in the rendered form, when I click here, rendered, it will change everything to rendered. Okay, so you see that it has changed. When I click on the shaded, it will change it again back to the shaded. Okay, so that's how it works. You can do the same thing here by changing it in this pop-out menu. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is to add some effects to this 3D object. Okay, so we go into the libraries. You have the libraries. We have a couple of options here. If you look at where the cursor is moving, you have a couple of tools over here. We have the properties, we have the layers, we have the rendering, we have the materials, then we have the libraries. We also have help and the display. Okay, so right now we're going to use the libraries to create some effects. With the default setting, when you open, what you have to see is this. Because I was working in something else, you saw the other icons. So when I click on the libraries, what you have to see is all these effects over here. So we have the architecture, we have the ceramics, default content, we have the environment, we have glass, we have metal, we have misc, we have organic, and all that. Okay, so let's say this 3D object here is is a wood, okay, or a log or something. So I'm gonna use the wood effect to create that effect for you to see. Okay, it's just as simple as that. So what I'm going to do is to double click here on the folder. Then when it opens, you see a couple of effects over here. So what we're going to do is to just choose any of the effects and drag it onto the 3D object right here. Okay, so I just choose any of these effects. Let's say I choose this one. I'll left click and hold and drag it, okay, onto the 3D objects. Oh, sorry, didn't work. Okay, so I just drag it. Oh, what's happening? Okay, it's because you're in the shaded. Sorry, it's because you're in the shaded view. Sorry, we have before using those libraries. Before using the library effect, what you have to do is to change the display mode to rendered mode. Okay, just change it here, or you can just right click, come here, right click on the perspective, then just come here and select rendered. Okay, before you use the effect in the library. So when I drag and place it on, you see that it changes. Okay, so whatever wooden effect that I want to use, I just drag and place it on. Okay, so let's say finally I'm just going for this one. Okay, see how nice it is. Have a wooden effect over here. Then you have your 3D model. Okay, so that's just about it. We continue next time. um, Subscribe to my page to get more tutorials on using Rhino 3D. My name is Ackaah-Gyasi. See you next time.